To make one thing very perfectly clear today as you join us, and that is that at the onset of this panel, I want to let you know that I, too, firmly am opposed to the President's actions that he has taken. I believe what is called the Executive Amnesty Plan is exactly that, and I'm disappointed, do not support it, and believe we should do something about it. Let me repeat that the President's immigration proposal, I believe, are unwise. I believe they're unlawful. I do not support them, despite what you may read in leading blogs around the country. I've not changed my position one bit that I have held over a number of years. I've openly talked, but I've also openly defended my party, the party of Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, and Ronald Reagan. And when people show up at this committee, it's my responsibility and my duty to protect our conference as people come here. There are some people who'd like to take out of context my comments. I don't like that. You wouldn't like it either. You would not like to be treated that way, and I don't intend to do that to you. So I'm going to simply say that as we go through this process, it requires everybody's ideas. Some I agree with, some I disagree with. But I believe that those who are in this country illegally can pose a threat to this country. They can pose a threat because we don't know who they are. They don't follow the law. Some are people like what we had in Boston, 2 of the 30,000 special interest aliens. The rule of law must be upheld and applied regarding all the people that are here. There's a process. Sometimes we know all the processes, sometimes we don't. But with that said, I also believe that whatever we do, we must do lawfully. A couple weeks ago, there was a question that arose, and a real question was asked by Senator Jeff Sessions, my very dear friend from Alabama, who asked for, in essence, an opinion from the Congressional Research Service. And they supplied him with a report, which I have here, and I'm sure every one of you have read. And the report very clearly laid out that Congress can do something about the actions that the President took, even if it is a fee-based fund. However, I don't believe that they gave enough of an answer to where we all completely understood the answer. So I went back to CRS and received a letter, which each of you have received a copy of. It was talked about this morning in a conference. About 200 of us were there. And I asked CRS to further explain the process, and according to the information which they had put in writing, that to defund the President's actions, the underlying law in question would need to be changed. That means that as we had done in the past in appropriations process, that is called an omnibus, last year we went and changed 16 fee-based programs with agreement with the Senate, and they were changed, and the President signed that. The same would be required under this action. It is a fee-based plan, and the fee-based plan can change. We can make it an appropriations and be responsible for it. But as CRS said, that would require the House, the Senate, and the President agreeing to that. Therein lies the problem. So I just want to make sure that as we speak about all this, that you would understand I have the same concerns, and I believe every member of our committee does. Every member of the Rules Committee has spoken with me about this disdain for what the President did. The question then becomes, what do you do about it? In the Washington Examiner, they really weighed in on this issue and took what I would call the Jeff Sessions CRS question and answer and the Pete Sessions question and answer from CRS. And they examined and reminded us that the White House would have to agree to it, and the Senate would. by tomorrow night. And if we put it in the bill, that what it could mean is a weapon that would be played back against us. So before we get started today, I would like to acknowledge and thank each of you for accepting my offer to come up and spend at least a full hour with me today, for you to offer not just an explanation, but to, once again, a dialogue, not of frustrations, but of expectations. And each of you to a person expressed to me things which I so strongly agree with. But I will tell you tonight as we get started that the difference that I believe I have is not the policy and not the amendment, because Mr. Mulvaney has given us an amendment that works perfectly well. I've asked the Rules Committee staff, does this get it done? And I'm pleased to tell you that I will guarantee you that the Rules Committee in the new Congress, in the first 2 weeks, before we go to our conference session where we all go off campus and we develop our plans for the year, we're going to have a Rules Committee meeting. We're going to bring back the Mulvaney Amendment, which I completely agree with, and we are going to be able to use the sustaining new members that are 9 new members of the Senate to where they can then judiciously take this out, and it will actually get a hearing. It will actually be talked about by them as a body as opposed to ignored or used as a weapon against anybody that is opposed to shutting down the government in the next day. I appreciate you, and I want to express to a person, Mr. Huelskamp stuck around, and we spent some time and actually found not just common ground, a lot of it. So I want you to know that your testimony tonight, your standing up for what you believe, is very important. It's important to myself. It's important to these committee members. I'm delighted that you're here. But Mr. Mulvaney, I want you to know that regardless of what your argument is tonight, we're going to accept the amendment by the second week of January. And we're going to come back here, so I hope you do well enough to get invited back. And your testimony tonight means a whole lot to the members on this committee. And we're going to include new members of Congress who have been elected, and they will have a chance to come fight this battle. And that's what people have asked for, and new senators. But I will assure you that you will have a chance with a Rules Committee chairman and a committee that strenuously believes that next year is the time to do this. I hope this helps your argument as you muster yourself here together. I don't think you need a lot of help, because I'll tell you, you've got it down. I'm delighted that you're here. Anything you have in writing, we'd love to see. I'd also like to, without objection, what I have spoken about, these articles, including the 2 CRS articles and the article that appeared today from the Examiner, I'm going to put them on the record. I'm delighted that you, and the gentleman from South Carolina is recognized.